Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So I had another lucky day at the furnace today, and with the electrolysis, I did the Colosseums, added the colors to the Colosseum today, and I tried to sell them without the colors last time, and so this time hopefully I'll do a little bit better. The only problem with the Colosseum design is that the mold isn't made of very good materials. I can only get 2 or 3 pours out of each one of those, and it's also a hassle to get it to pour just right, not overflow or the backs to be all messed up and all that. This one seems to be the most durable. I get 10 pours each out of these. One time I think I got closer to 13 pours, and they almost always turn out right the first time around. That's good. But then it hit me that a lot of times I make a lot of concessions in my life for all this to happen. So for example, I got an art show this March 3rd, next Friday. And at the same time, I desperately really need to be going out there to mingle with people. I don't have a whole lot of friends here in Phoenix, and the way it shows is that every time I have an emergency, or not even a serious emergency, I blow a tire on my car, recovering from illness or something like that, I have nobody to pick up the phone and call to help me with various things. And I desperately need to make those kind of connections. And but at the same time, I'm stuck at home pouring Bismuth. Now, if I go to the office and ask for various accommodations so I can get out of work on time to go out there to look for connections, I don't think I would get a heck of a lot of reception. So earlier today, I was interviewing for a job at a tech startup, but then it gave me a bad taste in my mouth because of a bad experience I had at a different tech startup. I wanted to kind of sniff around to see if this tech startup would behave like that. Obviously, this is not a question I can ask somebody. I was at a tech startup 6 years ago when all my colleagues were in very different situations than I was in. I think I had one colleague who had just recently given birth, was dealing with depression from childbirth. I had a couple colleagues who had situations with their children. I think one of them, his son was just graduating high school, had a lot of events and all that. And meanwhile, I was staying late a lot. Now, where things really became unfair was that oftentimes I was staying so late I didn't have time to cook for myself, and I had a favorite restaurant that I was frequenting like multiple times a week. And granted, I was making good money at the tech startup, but it was still costing me a good amount, right? I mean, granted, I'm very good at finding healthy foods even when I'm out and about. And but when I looked at the bill, it really highlighted how unfair it was, right? It was not only was I taking a personal hit, now I was taking a financial hit. And meanwhile, what if I wanted to meet? I don't, but what if I wanted to meet somebody to someday have a child with, right? Isn't that just another part of the same program, right? My colleagues are in a different stage of that program. Why do they get the accommodations when I don't, right? Let's just put it bluntly, right? I mean, that's what it is, right? Different stage, right? Come to think of it, 6 years ago, if I had brought up to my colleagues, I let you take care of your son or your depression from pregnancy, but now I have to stay late, I have no time to cook. Will you help cover my meal costs? I wonder if I should have said that to HR, right? In theory, right, at least, right, it might not sound great because of our social norms, but this is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show! By the way, I'm looking for a silicone mold for dislike. I can only find ones for like. I found a couple for shit, but I didn't find any for dislike for some reason. After I die, I want there to be a bismuth mold of the dislike finger on my tombstone.